to our Monday morning share class on this kind of, uh, oh, that would be fabulous. No, I know it's fine on the recording, it looks fine. So welcome all, taking refuge from this rainy day in our nice, safe, dry quarters here.
You might like it.
Let's begin by shifting our hips all the way back into the seat of our chair, resting our backs against the backs of the chairs, just allowing ourselves to use this nice structure that we have here beneath us to support our body. Just taking a moment and noticing the firmness of the earth beneath your feet.
Come join me, honey.
Noticing the support of this chair underneath your hips and legs, behind your back. Noticing our surroundings a bit, the hum of the ventilation, maybe a little bit of voices in the background. If the rain really picks up, we may begin to hear that outside as well, but just noticing the surroundings and then setting them aside once we've acknowledged their presence. And beginning to turn inward. Checking in with ourselves on this rainy Monday morning, just noticing how we're doing today. Body, mind, heart, energy level. Just getting a sense of what we've brought with us to our practice this morning. Never judging and trying really hard not to compare ourselves with what we may have been like yesterday, last week, last year. As silly as it sounds, sometimes I find myself comparing myself to what it was like decades ago. Who does that? Why? We just focus on where we are right now. At this very moment, accepting where we are, seeing if we can let go of what was to embrace what is. And then beginning, whenever we're ready, to bring some shape and structure to our breath. And maybe we find that through an internal counting, sort of counting in our head. Maybe we begin by inhaling to the count of 1, 2, 3, and exhaling 3, 2, 1. Inhaling to an internal count of 1, 2, 3, and exhaling 3, 2, 1. Just continuing to gradually deepen our inhalations and elongate our exhalations. And if you choose to use that internal count, which we certainly don't need to do, but if you choose to, maybe it gradually increases to a count of 4, maybe even 5. We're feeling that breath filling up our entire torso. Sometimes when we think of the breath, we think of it as occurring mainly in the front of the body, because we often talk about the abdomen and the chest, but the breath is really filling our body 360 degrees all the way around. And when we're seated with our backs against the chair, we can really notice that when we take a deep breath in, we push away a bit from the back of the chair as our back ribs are expanding with that deep breath in. And then as we exhale, we can feel our back beginning to settle in toward the back of the chair just a bit. So on the inhalation, as we expand our torso all the way around, we're actually pushing ourselves away from the back of the chair a little bit. Just a word about the deep breath with a mask on. We might be starting to get used to it by now, but it does feel a little bit different. And if for any reason you begin to feel uncomfortable with the deep breath, with the mask, resume your normal or chest and shallow breath for several breath cycles or as many as you need. So if you begin to feel at all uncomfortable with the deep breath wearing the mask, it's okay to make that breath a little bit more shallow. And if you really begin to feel uncomfortable, perhaps a little lightheaded or anything, please alert me so that we can just be prepared to provide assistance if needed. Maybe if it kind of gets to you, it might feel nice to just step outside for a moment, remove your mask, take a few breaths, and then come back in. As you're ready, draw your back up and away from the back of the chair, feeling immediately those abdominal muscles activate when we draw our spine up and away. Tucking your navel towards your spine just a little bit so that those abdominal muscles maintain their activity and help to support the muscles in your back. Taking a few breaths here in this nice upright seat. Taking a moment to make sure that your toes are pointing straight forward, that your knees are coming straight out from your hip bones, and your ankles are descending directly beneath your knees. Draw your shoulders up towards your ears, square them back behind you, and then gently set them down. Just allowing there to be a lot of space between the ears and the shoulders. With your chin, draw it back ever so slightly, just so that we can elongate the cervical spine, the neck portion of our spine. Sometimes when we think about sitting nice and upright, there's a tendency to lift the chin a bit. And we want to try to keep the chin down a bit more and drawing back just a bit. As you inhale, elongate that spine. Exhale, lift your face gently skyward. Taking a couple of breaths here. then as you inhale, bring your gaze back to neutral. On an exhalation, gaze toward your lap, bringing your chin toward your chest. If you'd like to intensify the stretch at the back of the neck, you can bring your hands up and interlace your fingers behind your head, keeping those elbows out to the side as much as possible. You can gently press your hands into the back of your head, very gently. And you may feel that stretch not only now in the back of the neck, but also in the upper back. See if you can relax the shoulders. I just caught myself with my shoulders way up here toward my ears. So soften the shoulders, relax. And if you'd like to activate a few more muscles in the neck and in the front of the chest, while you're pressing your hands lightly into the back of your head, you can press the back of the head lightly into the hands. Feel some additional muscles in the neck, the chest, and the upper arms activating. On an inhalation, bring your gaze up, releasing the fingers from behind the head, and exhale. Slowly lower them down. On an inhale, one more time, really elongate that spine. Exhale, chin comes toward the chest again. And this time, if it feels okay for your neck, just gradually, gently roll your chin from one shoulder to the other. Very gentle movement, sticking within your body's range of motion for today. So many things can affect the range of motion in the neck, especially how we've slept the night before. Sometimes we find ourselves waking up in the morning and we think, oh, what's going on with my neck? So if that's you today, be really gentle with these movements. And whenever you're ready, bring the neck to stillness and lift the gaze back up. Making some circles with your shoulders, rotating them forward and back. Making sure to reverse course after you've taken 4 or 5 rotations in one direction. And then with the hands released down toward the sides of the body, those right fingertips down toward the earth. Make sure that left hip is really fully anchored to the chair. And then coming up, and then take that to the other side. So we want to make sure the hips are fully connected. And then take yourself through several rounds, going side to side, seeing if we can keep this motion pretty much just in the torso. So we don't want to be rocking from one hip to the other. This is where we've got that imaginary seat belt that's super tight across our lap. Really try to reach down toward the earth. We're probably not going to touch it. Oh, I just made contact, which surprised me because I thought I would only be able to do that if I lifted my hip up. But we definitely don't want that happening. But by and large, we know we're really not going to touch the earth. We're just reaching as though maybe we could. Take one more round on each side. And then come up to a neutral seat. Palms resting lightly on tops of the thighs. Close your eyes perhaps if that feels okay. Few deep breaths here, just noticing the sensations caused by those, created by those gentle movements in our neck and along the sides of our torso. Bringing your hips more toward the front of your chair, separating the feet wider, maybe as wide or a bit wider than the legs of your chair. Find our torso rotations here, our mixing holes. Once again, just like with pretty much everything we're doing when we're seated, we want those hips really connected to the seat of the chair. We don't want to feel like we might possibly tumble out. Taking one more rotation in whichever direction you're going and then reversing course. Feeling that work in the torso, feeling a nice stretch in the sides, the lower sides of the back. And the next time you find yourself coming forward, let's stop and pause here for a moment. You can rest the forearms on top of the thighs if you like. Keep the spine nice and long. And to whatever extent feels comfortable, draw your torso down toward the earth. Keep the crown of your head reaching forward. You might be feeling a stretch in the hamstrings. I certainly do here. The backs of my thighs feel that nice stretch. Then place your right palm on your right thigh, left palm on the left thigh. Draw your elbows in toward your ribs and press yourself up to seated. Take a nice deep breath in and out. Go ahead and walk your feet a little bit closer together. You can give yourself a little hand massage. Maybe interlacing the fingers and rubbing them together, just rubbing the hands, whatever feels comfortable for you. Wiggling the fingers about. And then circling your wrists both clockwise and counterclockwise. And then turning our attention to the feet, drawing the right foot a little bit closer to your body and come up to the ball of your foot. And probably remember, maybe not, but it's because it's been a while. I mean, we've been practicing again, but we had that big long hiatus. And I don't know if I've said it since then, but this is like the Barbie doll foot. So remember how Barbie's foot is always positioned to just be put in a high heel at any given second. I don't know if they've changed that now that flats are more of a thing, but so we want to find that Barbie doll foot. We're way up on the ball of the foot to whatever extent feels comfortable. Our heel is aligned over the ball, so we don't want that heel sweeping out to the side. We want to try to keep it up, but stick, of course, within the body's range of motion. And if there are any arthritis in the joints of the feet, that can certainly limit that motion, and that's okay. Stick with that, though. Stay within your range of motion. And then that right foot lifts up off the earth, the toes point, and we place the top of the foot on the earth a little bit underneath the seat of the chair. And once again, we're making sure that our heel is aligned over the ball of the foot. So what we don't want, let me pull my foot up here a little bit so you can see it. We don't want the heel swinging out to the side. We want to try to keep that nice alignment there. Feel free to take a look, maybe holding on to your chair when you do, because we're kind of at the front of the chair. We don't want to go forward too much. But getting this really nice stretch at the front of the ankle. I'm just going to angle this down just a second so that the folks who are at home can see what my feet are doing. So we've got, turning this way, you've got the foot stretching the top of the foot into the earth to get a nice stretch there at the front of the ankle and the top of the foot, a portion of our body that rarely gets stretched because we are like this almost all the time. When we're seated, we typically have our feet down on the floor, at least one of them. Maybe we have a leg crossed or something. When we're standing, we're always like this. So we want to get a nice counter stretch. And then the right foot releases. When we bring it to meet the left, really try to roll it down slowly, using that articulation in the feet. And the left foot slides a little bit closer to the body so that we can come up onto the ball of our foot. And maybe we're noticing a difference between the 2 feet. I definitely do. I have more range of motion in my left toe joints than I do in my right. And most of us have a difference there. We just notice it. We don't judge it, but just notice that they're different. Making sure, once again, our heel is aligning over the ball of the foot. And then we go ahead and lift the foot off the earth, point the toes, and bring the top of the foot to the earth underneath the seat of the chair. Gently pressing and making sure that that heel is not swinging out to the side. If you happen to get a cramp when you're doing this, immediately stop. I sometimes get cramps in my feet when they're in the extended pointed position. So be mindful of that, and if that happens, just immediately come out and stand on that foot to get rid of that little cramp. And then our left foot comes out and meets the right. Making sure we've made our way back to our foundational seat with our knees out from the hips, ankles below the knees, toes pointing forward, arches lifting up so that we're not collapsing. Good. Inhale, sweep your arms skyward. And exhale, draw your hands to heart center. Release the arms down to the side. Inhale up. And exhale, hands to heart center. One more time, release the arms. Inhale, sweep up. And exhale, hands come to heart center. Lift your sternum up to meet your thumbs. Relax your shoulders. Draw your navel toward your spine so you're not arching the low back too much. A deep breath here. And releasing the arms down. Inhale, sweep up. And exhale. Bring your hands behind your head, interlacing your fingers. Take a nice deep breath in. And as you exhale, round and twist, bringing your left elbow toward your right knee. Inhaling up. And exhale, twist the torso, round over, bring your right elbow, to your left knee. Take yourself through a few rounds here. Nice big breath in when the torso lifts, and exhaling when your torso is twisting. If this feels a little uncomfortable with the fingers interlaced behind the hands, you can also lower the hands down and just kind of draw that shoulder toward the knee if that feels better. So we draw that shoulder to the opposite knee. We're still getting that nice twisting and strengthening in our oblique muscles. We're still using the abdominal and the back muscles. Let's take one more round on each side. And then releasing the fingers from behind the head. Inhale, sweep your arms up in front. And exhale, find a forward fold. So as we hinge from the hip, we really want to lift up and out of the pelvis, reaching forward as we lower down. Maybe we stop and place the forearms on top of the thighs, or maybe we come all the way down, bringing our fingertips to the earth. And then bringing your hands to the tops of your feet, sliding them up the shins, over the knees, to the thighs, and coming to an upright seat. Inhale, arms come up out to the sides here. Exhale, draw your arms together in front of your body. See if you can lock those upper arms into the shoulder sockets. Draw that navel to the spine so that we're not arching. We're arching our back a lot like this. All the weight of the shoulders, the ribs is all coming right down on the low back, and that's a lot for the low back. So if we, boom, just push that navel in as though we're trying to bring it to the back of our body, we can really protect the low spine. And go ahead and place your right hand on your left shoulder, your left hand on your right shoulder. Lift the elbows up just a bit so that the upper arms are parallel with the earth. And as you inhale, if it's available, elbows come a little bit up toward the sky. Lift your gaze up just a bit. Take a nice full breath here. And then arms and gaze return. Arms come down to kind of rest on the chest. Take a big breath in. And exhale, twist your torso to the right. Relaxing your shoulders. Turning your gaze toward your right shoulder if that feels okay on your neck. Stay here for a couple of breaths. This is really challenging to stay here when we're not using our hands and arms to kind of hold on to the legs in the chair to pull us around. So we're just using our torso strength here. Inhale, come to the center, and exhale, release your arms, maybe shake them out. Take a couple breaths here as we prepare for the other side. Just let those arms be relaxed. And then the inhale, arms come up to a strong T. Rotate your palms forward and exhale, draw your arms in front of your body. Fingers are spread wide, upper arms locked into the shoulder socket. Then the left hand comes to the right shoulder. Right hand comes to the left. See if we can lift the arms and the elbows up so that they're parallel to the earth. Maybe just take a second to notice if this feels different than on the other side than when the left arm was atop the right. And as you inhale, maybe those elbows come up just a little bit. Maybe the heart And the gaze lift just a little, making sure that we're still pressing the navel back toward the spine so the back isn't arching too much. Big breath in and exhale, bringing the gaze back to neutral and then gradually lowering the arms so that they're resting on the torso. Big breath in and exhale, twist to the left. Relaxing your shoulders, maybe gazing over your left shoulder. Breathing deeply. And on the next inhalation, we unwind the torso and exhale as we release the arms down toward the earth, giving that shake out, the massage, the pat down, whatever feels nice. With our hips once again toward the front of the chair, making sure that we have our entire buttocks connected to the chair, holding on to the sides of our chair. Inhale, extend the right leg out in front of you. Make your heel come right toward the earth, drawing the toes back toward the shin, so we're flexing the ankle. Leg doesn't have to be perfectly straight. And when you're ready, go ahead and hinge over. Take a look at this left leg. Make sure it's nice and solid here, that it's not collapsing in or rolling out. Think of drawing your sternum toward your leg, toward the thigh, toward the shin. Relax your shoulders away from your ears and breathe. Inhale, bring your torso upright, and exhale. Right foot meets the left. And then we inhale, extending the left leg out. Ankle is flexed. Think about squaring the hips here. This is sometimes we don't think of this when we're seated, but we want to make sure those hips are square across and that we're not leaning the hip of the bent leg further back and the straight leg further forward. So kind of draw that left hip back a bit, find length in your spine, and then hinge over. Feeling that stretch in the hamstring. Making sure the right leg is supporting you here. And breathing deeply. Inhale, come up, and exhale. Left foot meets the right. And again, holding on to the seat of the chair. We're going to inhale, extend the right leg, just as we did before. Heel is connecting to the earth. And if it's available, go ahead and lift that leg just a couple of inches. Use the hands here to help support your spine so that we're not leaning back and collapsing in the spine. So let the hands help you to keep a nice long spine. Inhale, see if it'll come up just a half an inch more. And exhale. Set it down. On an inhalation, that left leg extends. Heel is connected to the earth. Spine nice and long, navel drawn to spine, and lift the leg if it's available. It's perfectly fine to keep it connected to the earth. We're getting a wonderful stretch there too. If we want to bring in a little bit more of the stretch of the quadricep, the muscle at the front of the thigh, that's where we can lift that leg a bit. On an inhalation, see if it'll come up a skosh further. Exhale, set it down, and then windshield wiper those legs. And bringing the feet a little bit further apart once again. Sitting up nice and tall. And coming to whatever point of the seat of the chair feels right for you and for the amount of support that you have under your legs. So if we're far up to the front of the chair, there's not as much support underneath the thighs. If I move myself back a little bit more, I have more support. And if I move my hips all the way back, I've got even more support. Main thing we want to think about is if the hips are all the way back, we still keep the spine away from the back of the chair. So try not to lean back into the chair this way. So just figuring out wherever it feels most comfortable for you. A lot of it honestly depends on the chair that you're sitting in. So if you're practicing from home and if you have a chair that maybe has wood or something on the sides, it might not really help to be further back because you feel that digging into the back of your leg. Wherever it feels for you. Nice and straight spine. Hands can rest lightly on the thighs or maybe holding on to the seat of the chair if that helps keep the spine upright. And we just begin to lift and lower alternate heels. Taking one more round on each side. And then bring the backs of the arms and the hands to the insides of the legs. So really for me, it's very little of my arm is touching. It's really what I would consider my wrist and the back of my hand. It's going to be different for all of us, depending on the length of our limbs and our torso. With the feet really carefully placed here. So we want those arches lifted. We don't want our feet rolling inward. Gently press the backs of the hands against the inside of the legs. And if you want to activate a little bit more here, gently press the legs toward the hands. So we're getting these two opposing forces. The hands are pressing into the legs, legs pressing into the hands. Those two opposing forces give a nice line of stability there. Take a nice deep breath in. And as you exhale, begin to slide the back of the left hand down the inside, or excuse me, the right hand inside the shin. And then this left hand, maybe we place it on our hip. Maybe we wrap it behind our back. Maybe we lift it up toward the sky, whatever works for you here. Make sure that that hip, both hips actually, but especially the hip of your lifted arm is fully connected to the seat of the chair. Feel that stretch all the way from the hip up the side of the torso, through the armpit, up through the arm and the fingertips. If it feels okay, you can turn your gaze up toward your hand. You can gaze straight out, or you can gaze down at your hand near the floor. That's a little bit more, gives a little more stability. On an inhalation, rise up, using that nice strong core to help bring you up. Just take a couple breaths here. Once again, pressing the backs of the hands into the legs into the backs of the hands. Big breath in. And as you exhale, this time the left hand slides down the inside of the left shin. The right hand can come to the hip. You can wrap it behind your back. You can rest it on the thigh wherever it works, or maybe you bring the fingertips up. Really stretching that right side this time. Gazing up, out, or down, and breathing. Take a notice of your toes. Make sure you're not gripping the earth with your toes. Kind of give them a little wiggle. Sometimes we hold tension in spots we don't really realize, and that can be one of them. We're like on this grip with our toes into the earth. One more big breath here. And on your next inhalation, using that strong core, rise up. And if you need a little assistance to come up, you can place that right hand on the thigh and kind of push into it to help up, because this is a lot of work in the torso to come up here. That's a lot. So if you place the hand on the thigh and almost push yourself off, it'll give you a little bit of a boost there, a little oomph to get you going. Let's walk the feet back together. Inhale, sweep your arms skyward, gazing up if that feels okay for your neck. Exhale, hands come to heart center, Anjali Mudra. Couple deep breaths here, maybe closing your eyes. One more big breath in. And as you exhale, release your arms down to the sides. Shake them out. And prepare for Shavasana. So bringing your hips all the way back. Bringing things full circle. So coming back to where we started. Resting your back against the back of the chair. Allowing the feet and legs, arms, hands to be wherever you want them. So no worries about finding that structure anymore. If you want to just flop out with those legs, feel free to do so. Find a nice deep cleansing breath. So big breath in through the nose. And sigh your breath out your mouth. Then release that deep breath. Let your body gradually make its way back to breathing just the way you do when you're not thinking about it whatsoever. Closing your eyes if that feels safe and comfortable, or casting your gaze softly downward. If it feels good to have the shoulders roll forward just a bit, feel free to do so. Maybe drawing your chin toward your chest if that feels nice as well. And as you settle into Shavasana, this final relaxation, just take a quick scan of your body and notice if you're holding tension anywhere. So again, those feet sometimes hold tension. Maybe give a little wiggle in your toes, a little wiggle in your fingers to make sure they're nice and soft and relaxed. If you've been drawing your navel toward your spine, go ahead and release that and allow your abdomen to feel soft. Disengage those muscles. If there's any clenching in the glutes, see if you can release that. Release any clenching in the jaw by separating your teeth and just wiggling your low jaw back and forth a couple times, side to side. Release your tongue from the roof of your mouth if it's made its way up there. And soften the muscles around your eyes. Begin to by deepening your breath just a bit. And incorporating some small movements into your body. Maybe gently moving your head from side to side. Wiggling your fingers and your toes. Rotating ankles and wrists. And as you're ready, return to that nice foundational upright seat, lifting your back up and away from the back of the chair. Returning your legs and feet to a nice strong foundation. Drawing your navel towards your spine, relaxing your shoulders, drawing your chin back just a bit, lifting the crown of the head to the sky. Inhale, sweep your arms skyward. And exhale, draw your hands to heart center, lifting your sternum to meet your thumbs, and gently bowing your chin towards your own heart. With gratitude to yourself for coming to your practice today, with gratitude for your strong and capable body, with gratitude for this day and for this life. Thank you so much for sharing your practice with me this morning. The light in me recognizes and bows to the light in each of you and to the connection we all share. Namaste.
Namaste.